Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for this vSEC webinar. We'll get started now. My name is David Brawl. I'm the CTO here at BYTES Security Partnerships. And the webinar today is all about Checkpoint vSEC and specifically the Azure-based cloud, Microsoft Azure-based cloud. The agenda of roughly what I'm going to cover, I'm going to go through a little bit of about ourselves here at BYTES Security Partnerships. We're then going to talk a little bit about why do we think you need security for Azure and how Checkpoint can help with that. And then I've got a short demo to go through with you of how to build a gateway in Azure and what it gives you, just to give you guys a actual understanding of how Checkpoint looks in Azure and how well it works. So just quickly, a little bit about who we are. As I already said, my name is David Rawl. I'm the CTO here at BYTES Security Partnerships. And we are a security value added reseller. We're a Checkpoint specialist partner, but we're a independent IT security reseller in our own right. Trading for 16 years now, part of the BYTES group, and top vendor status with all of our key partners. The thing that's really special about what we do is the way we do our support and the way our technical team functions in conjunction with our sales team. In terms of our expertise, it's very, very standard stuff. It's the kind of stuff you would expect to see across the board from any top IT security reseller here in the UK. But as I said, the thing that is really special about us is our direct engineer support and the focus on our business challenges and the way we work. When you log a support ticket with us here at BYTES Security Partnerships, it's very much the first question you're going to bet is how can we help you with that, and can we do a remote session to look at it with you? We don't have any first line, we don't have any scripts. It is IT security engineers answering the phone for every single ticket all of the time. And as I already said, we have top tier partnerships with all of the key vendors that we work with. In terms of what we offer, again, very, very standard stuff. I'll skip through the build on this. In-house direct engineer support, in-house project planning, very close relationships with the vendors and the distribution to provide good internal training. And that means that the service we offer to our customers is very much focused around customer service and very much focused around making sure that we are passing this knowledge on to our customers. Part of that, we like to do regular account reviews and licensing reviews, make sure you're getting the best out of your product. We do regular sessions such as these webinars and within meetings to do product roadmap updates. Some of you out there may realize that, myself, Jay Patel, our technical manager, have been out doing regular strategy reviews with all of our top accounts and our key accounts. So very, very important in terms of the way we work. And we've got some conferences coming up. We're at IP Expo next week, and we're at the Ritz with a IT security event of our own with 6 or 7 of our top vendors later in the month. So please contact your account managers if you want any extra information on that. Who we work with, obligatory customer slide. I'll let this build, but there are some very, very good names in here and some very, very key people that we've been dealing with an awful long time. A lot of these customers have been with us for 10 plus years, and I think that speaks volumes for the way that we work with them and how we work. So why do you need security for Azure? Well, if we get asked this question a lot, doesn't Azure already offer security? And the answer to that question is, well, yeah, kind of. But a lot of our end users are finding out with Azure, with Office 365, the security that Microsoft bundles in is very much tick box security. It does certain things and it fulfills certain needs. But here, you can all read what's on the screen, but really within Azure, we're not talking about anything more than the same level of security that the kind of router you get bundled with your home ISP connection allows. We're talking about base packet filtering on inbound connections and utilizing network address translation to provide an extra layer of security. It's not giving you any great visibility. It's not giving you any great packet filtering, layer 7, anything that any of the current range of next-gen firewalls will do. It is tick box security. It is nothing more than that. And it's also not giving you a great level of visibility, as I already said, of what's happening in the traffic all the way up to the top of layer 7. Typical rule. They're here, they work, but again, no visibility and very difficult to get a good level of granularity. Your outbound security rule there is just allowing everything. It's not allowing stuff, it's allowing everything because there's nothing there. So really, you need more than this. It isn't just about the inbound, outbound matters. Those of you think back to sort of mid-2005, 2006, probably, this was really a hot topic where people were at that point packet filtering inbound, but tending to allow all connections outbound. And that enables you to compromise any service that's on the server and do outbound back connections to then provide control channels. How botnets got started, really. So that outbound security really, really matters. And by default in Azure, it's pretty much open. The visibility matters. And more importantly, the ease of management matters. You don't have any ease of management or any routine way of managing these devices and these systems and the security of them, then really you're in a bad place before you even get started. So these are all things that are really, really important. For those of you that are existing Checkpoint customers, well, why don't you just scale your existing Checkpoint estate into the cloud? It gives you common management, it gives you common functionality. And that's really what we're here to talk about today, and specifically scaling out into Azure. Checkpoint have their product now, which is called their vSEC product, their virtual security product. It doesn't just work in Azure, it works on VMware, both on-prem and in the cloud. It works on Amazon Web Services and the other leading cloud vendors. And the great thing about this is it enables you to leverage your existing Checkpoint knowledge and your existing Checkpoint management server to bridge this solution out into the cloud and give you all the same features. If you've got Smart Event or if you're an R80, you've got that functionally built into your management server, you're getting all the visibility and all the traffic management. That is all really key and really, really important. And that's what I'm going to cover off in this, is to talk about that and show you how it works. In terms of typical performance, those of you who know a little bit about Azure will recognize these instant types. I've got one of those up and running at the moment. I've got a D3 V2, so I've got a 4-core interface system coming up, 4-core system coming up rather, which gives you those numbers. You can pick and choose this. The other thing that's very, very important to talk about is the licensing and how the licensing works with Checkpoint vSEC. And I'll try and explain this a little bit. It's not the easiest thing to explain. But really the licensing works on a simple cumulative core system. So if you buy 32 cores of vSEC, that would entitle you to run 2 16-core firewalls, so 2 D5 V2s here. Or it would entitle you to run 4 8-core firewalls, so 2 D4 V2s, 4 D4 V2s. So it's very, very simple, very straightforward once you get your head around it. Also with Checkpoint vSEC at the moment, it is fairly generic between the vendors, although Checkpoint, they have officially acknowledged this to us, and it isn't being planned on change for the foreseeable. So if you had 32 cores of vSEC, you could have 2 8-core firewalls in Azure, and 2 8-core firewalls in VMware, NSX, or in vCloud Air. So really, really flexible and really good, useful way of buying this product. Unusually for Checkpoint, those of you who know their licensing would know it's normally ridiculously overcomplicated. In this instance, actually, it's fairly straightforward. You could, even if you had 32 cores, you could have 16 2-core firewalls running. The other thing we do just need to talk about is that we do need to talk about single interface versus 2 interface firewalls in Azure. Now, the instance that I'm going to be showing you and that I've built up is a 2-core firewall. We cannot recommend enough that you need to build, a 2 interface firewall. We cannot recommend strongly enough that you go down this route. Do not build single interface firewalls. You can save a little bit of money because if you've got a single interface firewall, you can build a single core firewall. However, the fudges and the bodges you have to do to get this working are just over the top and are very, very difficult to work with on a day-to-day basis. You really don't want to be doing it. If you deploy a 2-core, 2-interface firewall, so a D2 V2 like you've got here, you get a nice level of performance for your Azure estate. And more importantly, you get an identical user experience to that you get on your normal on-prem firewalls. This makes your life of your network admin and your security admins an awful lot easier, and you'll see in a second when I go through this just how simple it is to do and how simple it is to use when deployed in that manner. So just a couple of slides here to explain the build process I went through. There are 2 different types of Checkpoint firewall in Azure, bring your own license and pay-as-you-go, on top of the single NIC, 2-NIC options. The pay-as-you-go instance is really only cost-effective in sort of 4-week to 12-week deployments. It includes support bundled in from Checkpoint, but it is very expensive, and it really is designed just to get you out of a hole in a hurry so that you can spin these firewalls up quickly. We really recommend you look at the bring your own license option. It's much more cost-effective in the longer term. And in order to try and help with that transition at BYTES, we're bundling in, you need to speak to your account managers about the specifics of this, but we are bundling in our Spark support for the first either 2 or 4 cores of vSEC that you buy. So if you buy up to 4 cores of vSEC, we will support that out into Azure without any extra cost. It's only if you go any further than that, we need to look at charging you additional support, because this is part of your existing estate at the end of the day. So bring your own license, buy the vSEC licenses and put your own licenses onto it. Or pay as you go, you get bundled in Checkpoint support. You know, some of you out there have had experience of that. And we really only recommend it for sort of 6 to 12 week windows of time. So here you can see I've built a single instance, so not a cluster, vSEC, bring your own license to Nick. What that looks like, well, I give it a name, I give it a password, I create a resource group for it, and a location. Really, really simple. I configure an external and internal interface on it. You can see these are both 10 networks. This basically works on a one-to-one NAT from an external IP to a public internet-facing external IP to an internal external IP, if you see what I mean, on that 10.1.0.0 subnet. We'll show this again in a little bit more detail in a second. You can have as many external IPs as you want through the use of the Azure load balancers, and they can then be routed down, and I'll show you that, and I'll show you how that works shortly. Pick your size. You can see here I said I've got standard D3 V2. Give it a storage account, tell it it's a gateway only. It can be a manager if you want. Obviously, you know, the whole argument here that we're going through is leveraging your existing management solution, but if you want to build an all-in-one for testing, you could. Give it a SIC key, hit your summary, hit finish, and away you go. And what that gives you is a screen that basically looks like this. He says logging into his Azure estate. It's a screen that looks like this. If I log into Azure, and it's a firewall screen that looks like this. So you can see here my logs are ticking through as they would normally do. And that's all here and all ticking through. I've got an Ubuntu box in this instance, and I've got a 2012 R2 box in this instance. Log into my Azure account. And what you're going to see in just a second is my resource group that I have live for the lab. And in here I have my firewall, my Ubuntu box, my 2012 box. I also have my load balancer in here, my vSEC load balancer, which I was mentioning and talking about earlier, which has an additional external IP on it. You can spin as many of these external IPs up on here as you want and do as many rules through. And that's really how you route all your different, say, websites, SSH, RDP, anything you want down to the firewall and NAT it across internally. They're all really, really straightforward. In terms of the policy, I've got a very, very simple policy on here. I'm just controlling this and allowing some basic stuff through. I've got my office network from the outside and the lab on the inside there, just allowing to do anything. I'm allowing SSH and RDP through on a NAT rule, and I'm blocking everything else. I have here a remote desktop session through to that device, and that's all here. And anything I do in here, you'll see in a second, will show up in Tracker as it normally would. I'm also doing SSL inspection on this, so I can click into here and actually get traffic to show up, and you'll see it'll be SSL based and ordinary clear text based if this starts to run, which is always very, very helpful. So nice things about this. Not only have I got a standard gateway, if I click up and just show you it with two interfaces, all very, very simple. Here it is with an external IP, and I'm getting all my information through as you would expect. I've got two interfaces as you would expect. External and internal. I've got HTTPS inspection turned on, as we already discussed. All really, really straightforward stuff. I've got my app control and URL policy turned on. So I've got full visibility of all of that kind of stuff in here. And I've also got IPS turned on this gateway. So I'm really using all of Checkpoint's toys to get this up and running. See, I've got app control, I've got URL, I've got anti-bot, I've got antivirus, I've got threat emulation, I've got IPS, I've got all of the toys enabled in here. And if I go into one of these web browsers that wants to work rather than ask me for loads and loads of different information, and actually start to do some stuff, so I'll just try and trigger a download of some type. You can see I was looking for manuals the other day, which should just give me something very, very simple to click and download. If I just do this, if I then go into Smart Console, go into Logs and Monitor, we'll start to see this traffic doing stuff. So here, if I just refresh this, you should actually start to see some information. We can see we've got HTTP traffic being accepted, we've got Google being detected in HTTPS, with all sorts of things happening. If I go into the blades, the firewall, I can see HTTPS inspection, I can see threat emulation traffic. So if I click onto here, we can actually see files that have been downloaded and have been cleared. The really nice thing about this, kind of going back to this point, is that I've spun up a gateway in Azure. I've got all of that running really, really simply. I've got two interfaces. I've got NAT rules in exactly the same way you would normally be used to. So you can see here I've got my NAT rules that are allowing my access to SSH and RDP. It's actually this rule that is allowing me this access on this session. There's no rocket science here, no magic. It's all just running straightforwardly off that rules as they normally would. And because of that, I've got all of this visibility that we would normally have. So I can go into my overview and I can start to look at all the different graphs and all the different traffic that Smart Event gives me in this context. I can open up pretty much any of these and it will start to give me a really nice view on what's happening on different traffic, different business applications, all this kind of stuff. And it's just Checkpoint. And this really is the key point here that we wanted to make to you guys. This is just Checkpoint. And the really good thing about this is that not only is it giving us all the north-south traffic in and out of the estate that you would expect from Checkpoint, but the added bonus it gives in Azure is that it's also capturing, when configured correctly, traffic between, for instance, the Ubuntu box and the 2012 R2 box that I've got up and running in here, running completely in there, and it's also capturing all of that traffic due to the user-defined routes, etc., that are present in Azure. So we've got east-west, we've got north-south, obviously, in and out of the internet, and all the features of a normal Checkpoint firewall with no caveats, no real gotchas, all very, very simple and easy to use. And I guess this comes back to the point that I made at the start that I've got here on the screen here for you guys to see. You wouldn't use an ISP router as your enterprise firewall. You guys have invested in solutions such as Checkpoint for a reason, and you use those solutions every day and you depend on them for your IT security and the functionality. Why would you then depend on a tick box security solution that's giving you no better protection than your home users? You wouldn't pick up a server and go, do you know what, I'll just put this in somebody's house and let it sit there, because that would be ridiculous. You just wouldn't do it. But if you trust the default packet filtering in Azure, that is effectively what you guys are doing. And that's why we wanted to show you this, because there seems to be quite a lot of myths about how hard it is to build a gateway in Azure. You can see from this slide that I showed you earlier, really it's a four-step process to put it up. Once you've got that box running, it really is no harder than building and adding a new gateway, exactly like you would in Checkpoint normally, ticking your boxes for what you want and configuring a basic rule base. And as soon as you've done that, you then have all of this visibility and all this functionality that you would normally have. It's really, really straightforward and simple. So I hope that's been really useful. I hope you guys have got some value out of it. If you do have any questions, then please don't hesitate to contact your account manager or any of us in the technical team. Thank you for your time. I hope this, as I said, has been useful, and thank you very much. Goodbye.